Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Flow Over Fear podcast, where it is our mission to help you to rise above fear and realize your ultimate potential in leadership and life. I'm your host, Adam Hill, and it is my goal to share with you the human side of high performance. My guests share their experience with fear, anxiety, struggle, challenge, and most importantly, despite all of it, how they rose above it to achieve incredible results. So, if you're ready to rise up, let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this recap episode of Flow Over Fear. Today, I'm going to go over the interview I just had with Brett Harmeling. And Brett is a pretty remarkable guy. He's kind of an everything man. He's got his hands in a lot of jars. And he's a philanthropist. He is an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur. He's an MBA. He's a biohacker. He's a yoga instructor. The man does it all. And what amazes me about Brett and what amazed me about his story is a lot of the challenge that he went through and a lot of the trauma that he's experienced from childhood on up, from his childhood of being bullied and really, not fitting in that way and losing his sister later in life. Yet he has an attitude of complete and utter optimism that all of these experiences have shaped him in such a way that they're driving him towards continuous self-improvement and towards living each day out to be its best and living each day in absolute contribution to the world in the best way that he sees fit. And that's what was really impressive to me about this conversation with Brett and the person that he is because many people, when they experience trauma or when they experience these challenges, they tend to fall back into that victim mode, the why me's, or, the comfort of feeling the sympathy from others. And when we live in that pain, we tend to experience a lot of that. But what Brett has seemed to do is he's expressed that outward in some ways, and how he can heal not just himself, but the world, how he can bring people together and connects people. And for those of us who are living with anxiety or fear or trauma or anything along those lines, we can learn a lot. We can learn a lot from that. We can learn a lot from the idea that life does not happen to us. It happens for us. And when we experience that type of attitude, and when we take the steps, when we take the critical steps of healing and self-empowerment, we can start to rise above the trauma or the challenges that we have and really experience a better part of life. Growing up, Brett classified himself a bit as a black sheep. Somebody who was always breaking rules and trying to see how things worked. And as a result, he was bullied as a kid. But ultimately that struggle led to different opportunities in his life as he grew up, and the trauma that he experienced through the loss of his sister and 33 other people on a boat fire. That led him to really lean into more this idea of living big, not living as small as he was, but living big. And now he is really putting his, he's walking the walk with that, with all of these things that he's doing, by getting involved in companies like Veryjet or Happy Life Labs or other philanthropies, other charitable programs for veterans, such as Hives for Heroes, getting involved in a lot of those things. And by looking at all of that, one thing that impressed me was like, how does he do it all? How does he do it all and still, have a family? How does he do it all and still be valuable in those things? And one of the important concepts that he threw out, again, coming back to this idea of community, it comes back to who you surround yourself with. And if you surround yourself with the right people the people that are lifting you up, the people who are, above you and wanting to, help you succeed or give you the advice or be mentors to you, then life is not as it's lighter in that way. The load is lighter rather than spending time with the people that are trying to pull you down and dealing with the drama. That is energy draining, but it's energy creating to be involved in the things and with the people that lift you up. And that's one of the ways that energy can fill up our lives. Energy was one of the key topics of this discussion because Brett is involved in a lot of things related to biohacking. And for many of these concepts that are involved in biohacking, things like breathing techniques or, how energy is vibrating around us, so the frequency at which it vibrates, or, staying grounded with the earth, or EMPs or anything like that, those concepts may tend to be off-putting for a lot of people because they're not visible. We don't see them. They're not prescribed by a doctor. A lot of times, these things are that we don't see them. So when we hear that kind of stuff, we might tend to shrug it off. But when we're looking at the actual science behind a lot of these things, like the breathing techniques, like cold immersion, like how evolutionarily we've been conditioned to thrive in certain environments like that, to actually thrive when we're breathing in more oxygen, or when we're drinking cleaner water, or when we are getting grounded or out in nature. The science suggests that that is helpful for giving us energy, for helping us live better lives. And he said that step one is to literally get grounded, not just be grounded, in reality, but to actually literally get grounded, to go out into nature, to take your shoes off and to connect with the earth. It is the first thing that we want to connect with. And that is one of the ways that we can start to get more energy back into our lives. Another simple solution that he had talked about was to practice gratitude as a first step during the day. It's, what is one practice that you can help to overcome trauma or stay optimistic? And that is just simply practice gratitude. And he recommended a journal called the 5-Minute Journal. It's a journal that I've started to use, and I mentioned my love-hate relationship with it. I love it because of the concept that it brings my mindset into the right place, but I hate it because at night when I'm ready to go to bed, I just want to go to bed. I don't want to write down my thoughts, but this forces me into that discipline. And when we can get into that discipline, we can start to be more grateful. And I've noticed that shift in me too. So there's definitely there's legitimacy to practicing gratitude more often as a way to stay optimistic and to give ourselves more energy. So too is the perspective that we give to things. One of the perspectives that he had was that trauma is a teacher. A lot of us look at trauma as just a painful experience, and there's no doubt that it is. There's no doubt that trauma is painful and difficult. And for all of us, it is, a lot of times what leads to significant challenges in our lives. But it's also a teacher. It teaches us things. And there's a theme in that, because I talked to Eric Beach once, who said something similar about grief and those traumatic moments as being teachers in our lives. Our vices even are teachers. That's what Eric Beach had mentioned. And in that sense, trauma is a teacher, and, getting the right kind of therapy is important in that. He said therapy is awesome. And I agree. I still go to the same therapist I've gone to for 12 or 13 years now. And it's a great way to continue to connect, to work through a lot of the issues that we have with the same person who can understand you and call out your BS a lot of times. And so trauma is a teacher, and it's that kind of perspective that can help us out. The
greatest gift, according to Brett, the greatest gift we're given in this world is the ability to choose. And that's an important concept too, is if we don't like something, really ultimately it's within our control to change it. And it's even a concept that I like to get into that not a lot of people like when they hear this, but it's taking 100% responsibility for your life. 100% responsibility for who you are, who you have been, who you will be, what has happened to you. If you can take that responsibility, and then if you want to change it, you can make a choice. That is the ultimate freedom. And I absolutely agree with what Brett was saying there with regard to that being the greatest gift is our ability to choose. It's the ultimate freedom that we have. Otherwise, if we don't have that perspective of knowing in our hearts that we have the ability to choose, well, then we're just going to reinforce the fact that we're constantly going to be victim minded. So the goal is to recognize that ability to choose. And it's not an easy choice to make. It's not easy to make the changes. It's not. But that recognition, knowing that we have that freedom, or that gift of choice, is an absolute freedom. So you can find Brett at Happy Life Labs, and you can find him on LinkedIn and Instagram at Brett Harmeling. Pretty simple to find him up with his name. He's got a great LinkedIn. He's with all of the stuff that he's doing. Happy Life Labs is one of those things that he's doing right now, where he's really exploring a lot of what drives happiness. And it's an exciting new venture, and I'm excited to see where it goes. And I got a little tour of his new Happy Life Labs facility, and I'll say that it's exciting to see what they're doing there with all the biohacking and the healing and natural ways to help bring us to our healthiest and happiest lives. So keep an eye out for that. Keep an eye out for Happy Life Labs, and connect with Brett online, because he's going to be doing some amazing things, and he's a really, really remarkable guy. And I'll be excited to have him on for another show in the future. In the meantime, thanks for joining me on this recap episode, and we'll talk to you next time.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to the Flow Over Fear podcast. If you'd like to learn more about getting into flow and learn the foundations of flow, I have a free video series on my website at www.adamcliffordhill.com called The Foundations of Flow. Feel free to go there and download it and start your journey to rising above fear and achieving greater flow in your life. And if you like this episode, and I'm guessing you did if you stuck around for this long, then please do me a favor and hit the subscribe button, and you will receive notifications when I have new interviews, new recaps, and new trainings that pop up on YouTube. Thanks again for joining us.